This is the Sales Gravy Podcast. I'm Jeb Blount, best-selling author of Fanatical Prospecting and Sales EQ, and I'm here to help you open more doors, close bigger deals, and rock your commission check. This episode of Sales Gravy is presented to you by one of Fortune's highest-rated companies to work for, T-Mobile. T-Mobile for Business is transforming wireless and investing billions of dollars into expanding its network, which means, for all you savvy sales pros out there, that there are wide open territories with plenty of room for wins and no caps on commissions. So let me translate that for you. This means unlimited opportunity and unlimited earning potential. Now, what I love most about T-Mobile for Business is that it offers you exciting challenges to grow your sales career in an open and supportive culture. T-Mobile for Business invites the real, authentic you to come to work every day and offers outstanding rewards for their top performers and full benefits like stock grants and employee purchase plans so that your wealth grows while you help T-Mobile grow. So if you're looking to make more money and take your sales career to the next level with a company you can really believe in, join T-Mobile for Business by visiting T-Mobile.careers. That's T-Mobile.careers for your next career challenge. And before we get started, I've got one more goodie for you. Go to goals.salesgravy.com. That's goals.salesgravy.com to get free access to my brand new goal planning course. That's goals.salesgravy.com. I want you to think about a time when you were trying to explain something to another person. And I want you to remember the moment right in the middle of your story when the other person held up their hand and said, "Stop. Could you just get to the point?" Now consider how that made you feel. You were probably hurt, unappreciated, angry, enraged, and you were left with a feeling that the other person didn't even try to understand you. Or how about the time when you were trying to have a conversation with a friend or a family member and they kept looking down at their phone at incoming text messages and social media alerts? Remember how that made you feel. If you're like me, it made you want to rip the phone from their hand and smash it on the floor. Or how about the time when you came home from work and you were so excited to tell your significant other about your day? You talked, but the person wasn't even paying attention because they were watching TV or playing a video game or typing away on their laptop. "You're not even listening to me," you complained. "I don't know why I even bother." But your significant other just replied with a "huh," barely averting their attention from the screen. And in that moment, did you feel more emotionally connected or in love with him or her? Well, you know the truth, and so do I. Because when people don't listen to you, it makes you feel small, unappreciated, and unimportant. It damages and even destroys relationships and emotional connections. You see, the failure to listen is a direct route to a destroyed relationship. There is nothing that builds emotional connections faster and more permanently than listening. And you know this because people are not listening to you and it hurts. You know this because you're human. But if there's any good news, it's that you're not alone, because it seems like no one is listening to anyone. Everyone is frustrated. We all want to be heard. We all scream out, "Will somebody just listen to me?" Yet despite all that we've been taught and all that we know, listening is still the weakest link in human interaction. The reason that we don't listen is that listening requires empathy, cognitive focus, and an effort to manage our self-centered disruptive emotions. It's a challenge to tune out the distracting noise from the world around you, to be patient and wait for your turn to talk, to avoid looking down at your phone screen, to turn off your thoughts and pay attention to another person, to remain interested when you find the other person boring, and to bite your tongue when you feel the urge to interrupt so that you can tell your story or prove how much you know. The fact is, you spend 95% of your time thinking and talking about you. And this includes talking about your product, service, and company when you're standing in front of stakeholders. And the other 5% of your time, you're dealing with things that are keeping you from thinking about you, and that includes the people that you're selling to. Whether it's due to boredom or the inability to remove distractions, it's just so much easier to think about your own selfish needs and wants than the other person who's standing in front of you. And telling your story makes you feel important. It makes you feel significant, while listening to another person's story does not. And it's this disruptive emotional need for significance that's the primary reason why salespeople talk and don't listen. Great sales conversations should be engaging, thought provoking, and memorable. They should be a collaborative two-way street. And there's a four-part framework that allows you to both control the conversation and move towards your outcome while building deeper emotional connections with your stakeholder. First, people respond in kind. Second, people communicate in stories. Third, questions control the conversation flow. And fourth, listening builds deep emotional connections. Take a look around you. Notice how few people are smiling. Now, try this experiment. When people look up at you, smile back at them. What I've found is that 9 times out of 10, they'll smile back at you. And this is because emotions are contagious. In other words, people respond in kind. You see, when you're relaxed, confident, and patient, you'll transfer those emotions to your stakeholders, and they'll respond in kind. And this helps you gain control of the conversation. It's important to understand, though, that inside those conversations, people don't just spit out bullet-pointed facts. Instead, they use stories. You tell stories, I tell stories, and your stakeholders tell stories. It's human. It's how we communicate. We tell stories so that people will understand us, because we want to be understood and we crave to be understood. And when people are on stage telling their story, they feel important. They feel significant. The good news is when you listen and give your stakeholders your complete attention, they will expand on and tell more stories. And the clues that lead to their real problems and emotions are buried inside these stories. But it's critical that you manage your disruptive emotions when the other person is telling their story, because your mind has a tendency to drift. You feel the urge to jump in and talk over them to add your 2 cents, and you don't feel important. Stakeholders communicate in stories to be understood, but the truth is that you prefer that they communicate in bullet points. You want to speed them up and get to the point so that you can get back to telling your own story. But it's important that you resist this disruptive emotion, because the stakeholder wants to talk, sometimes at you, but don't get in the way. Because inside the stakeholder story is the information that you need to build the case for how you and only you can solve their unique problems. Sadly, most salespeople believe that to be in control of the conversation, they must be doing all the talking. But I assure you, it's the other way around. It's the person asking the questions who has control. When you are asking questions, you control the shape of the conversation and you can move it in any direction you please. This helps you keep the conversation on track and focused on your call objective while still making the stakeholder feel listened to and important. Keep this in mind. Stakeholders communicate in stories, but they don't care which story they're telling as long as they're getting to tell their story. This is because the more you listen, the more connected your stakeholder feels to you. And as this connection deepens, their trust in you grows and emotional walls crumble. And as those walls come down, you'll get far below the surface and gain access to your stakeholders' real problems and issues and pain. And it's here that ultra-high performers derive their competitive edge and begin to build a wide separation from the pack, because stakeholders never, ever, ever complain about salespeople who listen. If you're ready to take your sales career to the next level, go check out the incredible career opportunities with T-Mobile for Business. The hottest name in wireless has open territories, fantastic benefits, and unlimited commissions waiting for you. It's a great opportunity to work for a company that will embrace the real, authentic you. So go visit tmobile.careers, that's tmobile.careers, to see what the future holds for your career.